What happens when arrogance collides with hidden power? When a biker mocked and ripped a simple woman's shirt in a crowded bar, no one expected the chilling truth hidden beneath. A Marine Corps tattoo, a symbol of sacrifice, loyalty, and unbreakable courage, froze the whole bar in silence. What unfolded next was not just revenge, it was redemption, mystery, and a miracle no one saw coming. Stay with us till the very end of this gripping tale, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more heart-pounding, dramatic stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. The night was heavy with smoke and neon light in a roadside bar on the edge of a forgotten town, the kind of place where lost truckers, restless bikers, and scarred souls came to drown their regrets in cheap whiskey. The jukebox groaned to old country songs while laughter and curses mixed in the air, and in the far corner sat a woman who looked painfully out of place. Quiet, simple, her hands folded around a chipped coffee cup instead of a drink. She wore a plain dress, her hair tied back with nothing but a rubber band, and her eyes stared down at the table as though she wanted to disappear into the wood itself. But the bar wasn't the kind of place that let people vanish quietly, and soon enough a biker, loud, tattooed with flames that crawled up his arms, his leather jacket boasting of a club that thrived on fear, noticed her. He swaggered toward her, sneering, and with a cruel laugh, he reached down, yanked at her shirt, and ripped the fabric across her shoulder. The room roared with crude laughter. But then silence, suffocating, sudden, absolute, fell as the torn shirt revealed something that was not weakness but power. Inked across her shoulder blade was the unmistakable emblem of the United States Marine Corps, bold and proud, the eagle, globe, and anchor etched into her skin like a brand of fire. The bikers froze mid-breath, their laughter curdling into dread, because that tattoo was not decoration, it was legacy, sacrifice, and an unspoken warning that this woman was not the victim they thought she was. The biker who had torn her shirt faltered, his hand trembling, his smirk fading into confusion as whispers spread like wildfire across the bar. Stories of Marines had traveled through every alley, every battlefield, every home that had lost a son or daughter to war. To wear that mark was to declare a past written in blood, sweat, and courage, and even the toughest men with chains around their necks and steel in their fists felt a shiver crawl down their spines. But what no one in that bar knew, what even the biker with his shaking hands didn't realize, was that this woman wasn't just a Marine. She was the widow of a fallen brother, a war medic who had pulled bodies from burning sand, who had patched wounds under gunfire, who had watched her husband die in her arms in a land thousands of miles away. She had promised herself she would never speak of it, never expose that part of her life to strangers, but fate had ripped her silence as brutally as the biker had ripped her shirt. The crowd watched, breath held, as she stood slowly, her posture straightening into that of a soldier, her eyes burning with both grief and a fire that could not be extinguished. She didn't need to raise her voice, the room belonged to her without sound. And then, unexpectedly, impossibly, another man in the bar, gray-haired, scar on his cheek, rolled up his sleeve and revealed the same tattoo on his arm. A Marine veteran. Another followed, and another. The biker, once surrounded by his gang, now stood alone in a room where loyalty ran deeper than leather jackets and louder than motorcycle engines. But the night wasn't finished weaving its cruel and miraculous threads. As the tension built, as fists clenched and the smell of blood threatened to enter the room, the woman closed her eyes. Instead of hatred, a memory came rushing back. The last words of her husband whispered in that desert, "Don't let them break you. Show them what mercy looks like." And with a steadiness that shook even her, she placed her trembling hand on the biker's chest and whispered, "You think strength is in tearing others down? Strength is in carrying the broken." Her words cut sharper than knives, echoing against the cracked walls, piercing through the biker's arrogance. Something broke inside him. His knees buckled as if the weight of every cruel act he had ever committed pressed down on him in that single moment. He staggered back, eyes wet, the mask of bravado collapsing. He wasn't just a thug now, he was a man suddenly confronted with the truth of his wasted life. And then the twist none expected came. He confessed. The biker, choking on sobs, told the bar how he had lost his own brother in the Marines, how he had drowned his guilt in violence and alcohol because he couldn't bear the shame of not enlisting himself. The room grew colder, heavier, but also softer. The woman who had every right to destroy him instead listened, and for the first time in years, the biker's heart remembered what it felt like to be human. By the end of the night, that bar, once nothing more than a den of smoke and cruelty, had transformed into a place of quiet reverence. The gang disbanded that night, its members walking out in silence, shaken not by fists but by the raw force of honor and truth. The biker who had begun the storm stayed behind, stripped of pride but finally free of his chains, kneeling before the woman as though in penance, asking not for forgiveness but for a chance to change. And she, weary but unbroken, simply nodded and walked out into the cold night, her torn shirt hanging from her shoulder like a battle flag, her tattoo glowing under the streetlight like fire in the darkness. The legend spread far beyond that town, of the simple woman who wasn't simple at all, who carried the Marine Corps within her skin and her soul, who turned a night of humiliation into a miracle of redemption. And the bar that once thrived on laughter at others' pain became a place where people whispered of courage, where no one ever mocked a stranger again, because they never knew whose scars they might be tearing open. Some stories are written in ink, others in blood, but hers was written in both, and it left an entire town forever changed.